today, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, bringing America into the Second World War. Veterans and their families will gather today at the World War II Memorial in Washington to remember that anniversary and all the battles that followed. And Chip Reid is at the memorial this morning. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning, Nora. You know, one of the really striking things about coming to this memorial is just how many of the visitors are in their 80s and their 90s, the World War II generation, and how they got here is a story in itself.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air.
Within 24 hours of Japan's surprise attack on American soil, the American people were at war.
Did Pearl Harbor change your life?
Changed my whole life.
Shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Joe Demler joined the Army. Within months, he was on the front lines of the Battle of the Bulge, Germany's last major offensive and one of the bloodiest battles of World War II. Demler was captured and sent to a Nazi prison camp.
It was the coldest winter in history, and snow up over your hips. You know, they say, why didn't you escape? Where are you going to go? You can't, there was no place to go.
This was you on the day you were liberated.
A photographer from Life magazine was on hand when Americans liberated Demler's POW camp. They called him the human skeleton.
The biggest thing was what it meant to these veterans.
Right. Joe Demler and Julian Plaster are part of Operation Resolve, a Wisconsin-based program that brings World War II veterans to see their memorial on the Mall in Washington, D.C. Joe Dean is the founder.
We have a great sense of urgency. One World War II veteran dies every 90 seconds in this country. Across Wisconsin, we've flown almost 5,000 veterans out here to see their memorial.
The organization is the subject of a new documentary called Honor Flight.
So the first time you came here and saw Wisconsin on this pillar, what was that like?
Made you feel honored. Really honored.
Julian Plaster was 19 when he joined the Navy. He was sent to an island in the Pacific where he was given a shovel soon after arriving.
One of the Navy officers gave us some gloves and told us, now go and pick up all the dead bodies and load them into the truck. And that was my first experience.
Now, Plaster's 18-year-old great-grandson wants to join the Army. Plaster isn't sure it's such a good idea.
I remember burying one Japanese soldier, and in his hand was a picture of an old woman. And I'm thinking, hey, he was thinking probably of his mother or his grandmother, same as we were. We kill one of our enemies, we create another 18.
From the front lines to the factory floors, 60 million American men and women volunteered to serve their country. They were to become known as the greatest generation.
This generation lived through the Great Depression. They went off to war. They came back to the United States to rebuild America. And they did.
But it would take the country 60 years to build them this memorial.
It has lifted me up. It's given me a new perspective of what World War II is about. Because so many years, I never thought about it. I never talked about it.
We can't walk a block in Washington, D.C. without groups stopping to thank these veterans. It's absolutely beautiful.
More than 400,000 American men and women gave their lives during World War II. Those who returned are now in their late 80s or older. For the veterans who have been lucky enough to make the trip to the memorial, Operation Resolve makes sure their homecoming is just as memorable as their journey.
This is the welcome home that this generation really never received. It really it leaves the question, now that you understand this history and the enormous sacrifices that went into making us free, what are we going to do about it? What do we do with that gift? You know, with that gift comes a great deal of responsibility, I think, to live lives that somehow begin to be worthy of this gift of freedom that we've all been blessed with.
And many of the World War II veterans who come here call it the trip of a lifetime. One told me it made his life complete. And Nora, by the way, Joe Demler, the man who was known as the human skeleton, turns 87 today.
Oh, gosh, Chip, what a beautiful story. Thank you so much for reporting that. You know, Charlie and Gail what incredible veterans we have in this country. And 71 years ago today, Pearl Harbor.
You know what's remarkable about that story, and Chip said it, it reminds you of the age of them, the sacrifices they made, and how we're losing them each day, and we need to remember and honor them every day.
And important for them to know their service mattered.
That does it for us. As we leave you, take a look back at the week that was.